There is something else that I have been focusing on quite a bit, actually. And I think that this is probably one of the most important elements, especially when it comes to relationships moving forward, whether platonic or romantic. Um, as I've done some reflecting on my own life, I've really been looking at people, relationships, and distraction. This was very relevant in my life at least a decade ago and beyond that. I used to hold relationships from a place of codependency, a place of people pleasing, appeasing, doing things that I didn't actually want to do just so that I wasn't alone. That in and of itself is an entirely different subject, which I'm not even sure I'll ever go into the logistics of. Um, but it's just fascinating to me how much things have changed and the way that things were before, right? Um, yes, my relationships in the past, not naming any names, were very much foundationally based around codependency, which also has to do with an imbalance because usually when there's codependency in the play, there is an imbalance and it's not a back and forth mutual healthy give and take from both parties. It's usually just a one-sided story, a one-way street where one person is the giver and the other person's the taker, and that dynamic just doesn't change. That dynamic just doesn't change. Um, that's usually because one person is codependent and the other person just takes advantage of that. Um, there have been some relationships that I've had in my life that now, as I reflect and I look at what it is that I'm creating and what it is that I actually want, these relationships have been a distraction to me. One of the fascinating things to me, or I should say, one of the most fascinating things to me, is just how much I desire to hold relationships that are very much collaborative. And this is something that I've noticed maybe over the past, like, I don't know, I'd say like 5 to 10 years now. I've noticed that my relationships haven't really been creative. And when I say that, I'm referring to the collaborative element. What I'm looking at more so is, what I'm looking at now that is actually really transforming my perception of everything is, why am I in a relationship with this person or these people? And in a relationship can refer to both platonic and romantic. You have a relationship with people. Whoever's in your life, you have a relationship with them, right? And um, so previously, like I was saying before, it had a lot to do with codependency. It had a lot to do with Chris is the giver and other people are the taker. Not playing the victim here, I'm just saying the way that it was. I previously had unhealthy, permeable boundaries, and I didn't want to be alone, and, just it's the way that it was. It's not that way anymore. At least not entirely. Um, and so, like, recently over the past few years, what I've been really looking at is I've been thinking to myself, I don't want to hold relationships like that anymore. I really don't. What I want is relationships that are foundationally based around, one, a healthy dynamic of both parties mutual giving and taking from each other. Not because there's any obligation or guilt or shame. That's a crucial element to not have there, right? But simply because you love the person, you care about them, and you want to. You want them in your life because they complement your life, right? They add value to your life. And I'm also looking specifically at transaction in relationship. I don't know enough about it yet to understand the depth of it and to see whether or not it's healthy or unhealthy. Everything that I've learned about transactional relationships points to unhealth, but I don't know enough about it yet to really, like, formulate an opinion. Um, the fascinating thing about transaction in relationships is that I've really only ever heard it talked about in relationships that are narcissistic, whether one-sided or both-sided, right? And to me, transactional makes it sound like you're just using a person for something, right? And that to me just doesn't really feel right, you know? So that's a thing in and of itself. Lastly, in terms of transactional, I feel like there are not really any emotions involved in transactional relationships. Could be wrong. Again, I don't know enough about it, but I'm learning more about it. So when the person or people in your life are a distraction, I've had plenty of experience with this. I've realized very deeply that some of the people that I've had in my life have been a distraction, right? And what does that mean to me? I'm gonna spell it as simple and plainly as I possibly fucking can. I would argue that people in your life, if they are in your life, that are a distraction, they don't actually give a fuck about you. They don't care about what you're going through. They don't care about what you're interested in. They don't care about what you're trying to create. They don't care about supporting it. They don't care about any of that stuff. What do they care about? Them fucking selves. Yes, they are self-focused. And this is kind of where the transactional thing takes place, and this can happen in relationships where one of the people is codependent, because the person that is codependent is very used to giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, and so the transaction usually ends up just being a one-sided road, right? A one-sided story, a one-way street. And the transaction is that person doesn't feel good enough about themselves, so they give and 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 run themselves fucking dry, and nobody wants that. Well, the only person that does want that is the person that doesn't truly see themselves, that is codependent, and they don't see their own self-worth, and they think that their entire life is all about just excessively giving to people, right? That's the way that it is. But one of the biggest things that I'm focused on right now, I literally have had people in my life that have only reached out to me because they want something from me, because they need something from me, right? Whether it's a fucking ride. I have given so many people in the past, especially like a decade ago, rides, right? Because I wanted to be liked, because I felt like I was cool for even associating with the people, right? But again, that becomes a one-way street, and that is also a distraction, because that person or those people clearly did not give a fuck about me. All that they cared about was what I could do for them, right? And when they've exhausted all of their other fucking resources, other people, in their life, then they reach out to me, right? They reach out to me not because they give a shit about me. They reach out to me because of what I can do for them. What I used to do for them that I no longer do, because I realize, wow, this person's a fucking user, right? And I don't want to do for them anymore because of that, right? When the person or people in your life are a distraction, it's usually just because they're there for themselves, not for you. They see what you can do for them, not what they can do for you. Again, it's not a mutual, both-sided give and take. They're not there because they like you. They're there because they see that they can use you and they can take advantage of you, and you won't do anything about it, right? These types of people, in my honest opinion, are a distraction. I mean, I would argue that it's kind of obvious. I'm not here trying to, be like, duh, but, honestly, I mean, see it for what it is, rather than the smoke and fucking mirrors that they're trying to create. Oh, no, we're good friends. You're my best friend. You're my best friend. Yeah, fuck off. No, you're fucking not. They don't give a flying fuck about you. They will drop you in a second, just like the corporate fucking job that most people fear will drop them. Because it will. Corporate America does not give a fuck about its employees. Just like narcissistic people do not give a fuck about the people that are in their lives, right? Oh, by the way, the reason why this is themed around narcissism is because narcissistic people believe that they are at the center of the fucking universe, and they believe, because they are so emotionally immature, that everybody in their fucking life needs to, right away, drop absolutely fucking everything to cater to them. I have experienced this so many times with different people. Again, not going to name any names. But it's such a fascinating and exceedingly unhealthy dynamic, right? Because, again, it's not a mutual give and take. It's just one-sided. So let me just focus on real quick the aspect of a person being a distraction in a person's life and why I believe that that would be the case. I define distraction as anything that does not bring a person's focus closer to either their relationship with that person, which would be healthy, or their overall goal or goals in their own personal life. A person that is not a distraction to you in your life is going to give a massive fuck about you, right? They're going to check in on you not because they want something from you, but because they want to make sure that you're doing good. They want to cheer you on. They want to have that healthy reciprocated dynamic with you, right? And they don't give to you with expectation that you will give something back. They give to you because they want to, right? And then that ends up becoming a natural and healthy flow between the two of you, and you both end up giving back to each other, right? But the element of distraction here is really cleared up because you're not distracted. You have a person or multiple people in your life that actually want to see you succeed. They want to cheer you on. They want to see you win. They want to support you on your journey of doing that, right? They care about you. They love you. They're going to buy you things, or if they can't buy you things, they will give you whatever they can, you know? Whether it's support or whether, like whatever it is. So I would say that anything outside of that, I'm not going to say anything outside of that because that might be black or white thinking. But what I'm going to say is that there is a clear difference between somebody who is a distraction in your life, who's going to pull you away from yourself and your goals, and somebody who actually cares about you and what it is that you're creating, right? If you feel like you're not getting anything out of a relationship that you have in your life, or out of multiple relationships that you have in your life, it's probably because there is a dynamic that is you give over and over and over again, the other person takes. You don't ask anything of that person because you're scared to, because you're scared that you'll lose that person if you do ask for it, which is also a massive red flag. That person just continues to take from you, and they'll take until you realize that that's what they're doing, and when you try to say something about it, they'll just go elsewhere. They do not care. I cannot reiterate enough how much they don't care. People that are a distraction in your life, they don't care about you. That's why they're a distraction, because they're pulling your focus away from you. That's just the reality of it. And they're not going to stop doing that, and you're not going to change them, so you might as well just fillet them out. Filet mignon. Get them out of there.